Hello and welcome to the last day of October. It is Halloween. Woo. But that's not the purpose of this video. The purpose is to finish the book of 1 Samuel. We have 31 chapters, and it's the 31st day. I did this for my birthday month because my birthday was on the 26th. I turned 33, which is weird to say. So, now that I have the final day, it's time to read it. But the 31st chapter is very short, so it's not going to take long at all. I'll just talk a little bit afterwards with it. As far as strong mouth, because I had like heat stroke thing happen when I was in the army, now I move on to something else. So can't talk really without biting down and sounds weird and stuff. Stuttery. So here we go. King James versions, you can read whatever you want. Now the Philistines fought against Israel, and the men of Israel fled before the Philistines, and fell down slain in Mount Gilboa. And the Philistines followed hard upon Saul and upon his sons. And the Philistines slew Jonathan, and Abinadab, and Malchishua, Saul's sons. And the battle went sore against Saul, and the archers hit him, and he was sore wounded of the archers. Then said Saul to his armor-bearer, draw thy sword, and thrust me through therein, lest these uncircumcised come and thrust me through, and abuse me. But his armor-bearer would not, for he was sore afraid. Therefore Saul took a sword and fell upon it. And when his armor-bearer saw that his Saul was dead, he fell likewise upon his sword and died with him. So Saul died, and his 3 sons, and his armor-bearer, and all his men, that same day together. And when the men of Israel that were on the other side of the valley, and they were on the other side of Jordan, saw that the men of Israel fled, and that Saul and his sons were dead, they forsook the cities and fled, and the Philistines came and dwelt in them. And it came to pass on the morrow, when the Philistines came to strip the slain, that they found Saul and his 3 sons fallen on Mount Gilboa. And they cut off his head and stripped him of his armor, and sent it into the land of the Philistines round about to publish it in the house of their idols and among the people. And they put his armor in the house of Ashtaroth, and they fastened his body in the wall of Bethshan. And when the inhabitants of Jabesh Gilead heard what the Philistines had done to Saul, all the valiant men arose and went all night, and took the body of Saul and the bodies of his sons from the wall of Bethshan, and came to Jabesh and burnt them there. Then they took their bones and buried them under a tree at Jabesh, and fasted 7 days. 13 verses. This is the conclusion of 1 Samuel, my favorite book in the Bible. It ends on a very sad, sour note, because you lose Jonathan, Saul. One could say, well, Saul had it coming, but that's not cautionary tale for Israel because of their wanting of a king, and snares one guy who gets, unfortunately, in the position too afraid and full of himself, and then ends up costing him too with everything, which possibly you could argue he wouldn't be in that situation if Israel wasn't doing that, but it's sad. But thank you for joining me for 31 days. I know that's been a long time and everything, that trying to sit through these videos and everything. You're like, you're just doing this for 31 days? Yeah, I did. And I'm going to do it for other books of the Bible too. I'm going to read chapters a day of them and everything. I'm going to see if I can line up if there's any other books that have chapters that line up with, amount of days of the months. And I might do that. But it'll be at different times and everything like that. Now we know from this story here at the end that whether Saul actually died there or not, because of, the account in the next chapters or so, it's not unclear, but either way, the guy, well, I guess we'll have to wait to see what happens in 2 Samuel, huh? Although I don't think I'm going to read that next. Either way, it's a cautionary, sad tale. But it happened, so it's what's the issue. But I really do enjoy reading and everything, and I'm thankful that I can read. To get back to this, when this initially happened back in 2022, with all this heat stuff or whatever, I found that trying to read aloud, I couldn't even do at all. It physically caused pain to try to read aloud. My eyes hurt. I kept stumbling, and it just became bad. And I was frustrated because I was just like, How am I going to read aloud or anything? Because, I want to get married and have kids someday. How am I even going to be able to even read my kids? I know that you shouldn't say, like, oh, that shouldn't be a motivation and everything, but it was a real concern to me. Because, how am I want to do what, my dad and mom did, read me stories and stuff. I want to read them stories and everything. Can't do that if it keeps causing pain and stuff. But fortunately, thanks to the Lord, it healed up enough in such a way that I can read out loud, which is great. Maybe this is permanent or so. Maybe it could heal up on its own. I don't know. I mean, it happened a second time, kind of. Maybe it's not as bad or so, but I couldn't talk at all for a week. This didn't even work. And then found like this fever was like unintensive, like you couldn't understand it at all. And nothing was working for an entire week. It felt like I lost it. But fortunately, it came back, but it came back again into this. So one wonders, like, is this kind of like the new normal for me or so? Maybe it is. But either way, the fact that I can read out loud, thank you, Lord. Because I want to do some other things too, like maybe reading books out loud and everything else on here, which I can probably do in the future. I got several options for that. I'm thinking about one thing for next October. I gotta divvy up the pages and everything, but maybe next October I'll do that. But yeah. Thank you for watching with me and joining me on my birthday month thing, reading my favorite book, 1 Samuel in the Bible. And thanks to the Lord that I'm actually able to read out loud. It's testimony in that. Despite all this, I'm glad I can read. So, thanks for watching. And I don't know when next book I'll read next, but we'll see. All right, see you in the next one, whenever that be, and whatever updates and stuff happens. Goodbye.